Welcome back, where we're going to continue on now with the Jensen Interceptor. We finished off the last video with the front wing mostly on, sills all done. The front wing is now fully on. I caught quite a bit of that with some GoPro, so we'll get that overlaying possibly while I'm jabbering on now. But moving forward, the only bit of bodywork that we have left before we head into paint now is this complete rear valance. It's shot to bits all the way around. So we can get repair panels for these. They're pretty costly and they're also pretty basic. So we're going to run through just making them. We'll just make up the sections here. So I'll run through with possibly some camera footage, possibly some GoPro and a combination of. So we're going to template this up. It's inner and outer that are shot to bits. The outer comes down and spots to the inner, but it's all gone. There's a big contour up here, which thankfully is all good. So we're only looking at this bottom sort of 2 inches all the way around. It's made up of 3 pieces. You can see here we've got some lead, so we'll get that melted out. That's a lead join down there. So we've got panel 1, and then across the back here we've got panel 2, which incorporates the exhaust cutouts. And then obviously on the other side we've got the same as this, lead loaded panel number 3. So we'll break it down section by section and we'll make it into 3 sections. I did toy with the idea of coming all the way around and joining up into the middle of the exhaust section here. It makes no sense to do that. We'll just do it as the car's built. So I'll let Lou escape from camera duties and we'll get some tripods up and some GoPro up and we'll just start templating this up, show you how we go about fabricating that. I'd imagine we're going to use a tipping wheel here to fold the curved flange in, which I'll show you in a minute. So, yeah, I'll stop talking, start working. Okay then, so with the lead melted out of this join, what we do now, we make a real simple template. I've drawn up how far up we need to go onto the panel, which isn't that far. So what I now do is a bit of brown masking paper and a couple of magnets. We're just going to hold this paper in position here, where we need it to be. Try and find some metal. Probably some here somewhere. There's a bit. Right. So if we start off, I mean, the template is quite rough. Once we've got the basic shape transferred over to steel, we can then start to refine it. So that's a seam down here. Like I said, the lead was on there, and it's not a spot welded or plug welded seam here. That's continuously seam welded through there and then lead over the top. So now we just need to feel the panel underneath. What you can quite often do, it's not going to happen this time, is mark it with a crease line. Yeah, that's actually come out pretty well. So we've got a crease line here. So we're just roughing out the panel that we need. So that's what we need. Obviously I can make that straight when we transfer it. We've also got to remember here is our return flange. So we've got best part, that's going to be a 9/16 return all the way along there. which I'll draw out on the bench. That's the shape that we need though. Once I've got this, I can then transfer it over to the steel, mark it all up, and then we can start folding and forming some shape into it. So we'll get on with that now. There we go, one flat piece of steel all marked out. As you would have seen with the GoPro, this is the outer surface, and this is where we're looking to put a return on it. Now obviously we could put this in a folder and get a nice straight line folded, but we've got a curve here we need to incorporate as well, which is where we come to use the swager, the power swager with a tipping wheel on it. You can see here we're angled up. So what we need to do, and you probably would have seen in the GoPro, this is the bit that I need to tip. So we've drawn out the shape on the back of the panel as well. And what we're hopefully going to do now is just start this in here. Now this won't fold it as such, it is a tipping wheel. So it's going to encourage the steel to go where we want it to go. So I'm just following the drawn out line with a bit of upward pressure on it. So that as we come round here, should have moved that pedal back a bit. Just follow that line, nice and steady. And what this is doing is, as the name suggests, is tipping the steel to where we want it to be. Which means we can then go back after with a hammer and dolly, and we've already got, it's almost like scoring a piece of cardboard, I guess. We've already got the line that we're wishing to follow. So the steel's already started to go where we want it to go. So as you can see there, we've already started to curve this where we need it to be. So I'm going to give it another pass or two through there. It's going to stretch and pull the steel because we are changing the shape of a flat piece. But once this is folded into position, we then go back to the shrinker stretcher, and we can shrink along this line here to pull it back round. And it'll, you see you've got the curve in there. We actually want that curve reversed because the panel's got a curve that way. Once we've got it folded, shrinker stretcher, we'll pull that back round again. So I'm just going to do a couple more passes with this. Add a little bit more pressure onto the dies, a little bit more upward force. Let's keep that going round. What I'll probably do is I'm going to give this one more pass. I'll allow Lou to get back to doing some work, but the GoPro will take over as we go to the bench in a minute with a hammer and dolly and just knock in the final return shape that we need on this. And then we'll shrink it back into the shape we need. But there you go. I mean, oh, careful Lou. You can see there, hopefully, that we're starting to bring this panel up and around, all the way around this corner. So onto the bench now, hammer and dolly now, we've got the shape started, and we'll just keep tapping that gently all the way around, shrink it, offer it up, cut out the old one, stitch in the new one. Sounds so simple, but it is, really. It's just knowing what you're doing. So I'm going to head over to the bench of the GoPro. Lou's going to go back to doing whatever Lou was doing. Right, there we go. GoPro would have gone through, just tipping that edge all the way around there. So we've tipped it and then hammer and dolly. You can see we've not gone 90 degrees because it isn't 90 degrees. The panel kind of sits like that. And obviously, whilst the return is now returned, we've still got a flat piece here, which is no good. So we offer this up here. We don't want a flat piece. We need to shrink a curve into here. And in shrinking a curve into this return flange at the bottom, we are going to bow this piece here out anyway. So it'll suddenly just pull around and it's actually shaped up really nicely. So by the time that's shrunk in there, that'll tuck round really nice into position. And once we've got that done, we can then cut this piece out. I'll probably cut the bottom of the flange off here so we can ascertain what's going on with the inner, get all that cleaned up. Very similar process in making the inner repair section. Get the inner done and into place. That goes onto there. And then I'll probably do the same repair on the other side, and then we'll tackle the bit in the middle. So we'll get the two outer edges done, and then we'll do the rear face. So pushing forward. There we go, that's the rotten outer now cut out. And we can see quite clearly that we've got two pieces here. We've got this corner piece here, which comes in, and then it's got a little lap joint here, which then goes to the center section of the inner. Oh, if I can just slide under here, which carries on all the way around there. So what we're going to do is we're going to, in behind here, the corrosion sort of stops here. So I can effect a repair to the back of that from underneath the car. We'll make up this section here. That's one panel. This section here, we're going to make this coming all the way around to about here. And then what we'll do is we'll leave this piece unattached so that when we make the outer rear, we can join that up for the inner rear when we make that section. So we are going to section this up into more pieces. It's going to be a 5-piece rather than a 4-piece. Sorry, a 3-piece. But that'll be the best way of doing that. Keeps it all nice and tidy. Pushing forward. There we go, all repaired on the inside of this inner lower rear quarter panel. So we've got the new sections gone in here, new sections gone in here. We've ran it through to here, so that when we do the centre rear valance, we've got this to pick up on to carry on round with the rear inner valance. And then we've got our outer panel, which is all shrunk into shape, which is ready now. I can get spot welded along the bottom there. We'll cut it in and let it into the top there. So that'll end here where the original join was, and we'll leave that open to carry on with that bit. But we'll run through now, get this in here, move on to the other side. Again, whenever we double up on something like this side, that side, I won't film that side. I might put a bit of GoPro footage on, but I won't walk you step by step through because it'll be exactly the same. And we'll cut back then and do the centre rear valance. So GoPro will take over now as we get this into position here. Move on to the other side. Okay, there we go. That's the first section in now. So we've got inner and outer. We've got the two inner sections have gone in. All zinc weld primed, weld through primed rather, spot welded all along the bottom, stitched all the way through the top and ground flush. It's gone in really nice actually. So fingers crossed the other side will be just the same, go in just as well. And then we can turn our attention to the center section here, which will be a little bit more complicated because we've got to cut in the two exhaust cutouts. But essentially the same process. And yeah, hopefully, as I say, it'll carry on as well as that section's gone in. We'll get GoPro footage, a little bit of the other side, and then we'll focus again this kind of video on the center section. So that's it for today. On to the other side tomorrow. As that would have shown then with the GoPro footage, that is now both sides done. Just squeeze around here. So that's both sides of the lower quarter panel done. Inner and outer, or lower valance, lower quarter. Just now, let's say the back valance to do. So we'll get all this cleaned up, crack on with that. Okay, as I said, we'll now work on the back section and the rear valance. I had said that we're going to do this in one piece, but we're not. Primarily because this measures out just over 4.5 foot, and we've only got a 4-foot folder and a 4-foot guillotine. So I'll make it in two sections, and we'll try and keep the repair quite low down here. So, can't see, we'll bring it across here, keep it sort of in this middle section here, so that the join line is going to be right by the bumper. So we can bring that down here, and the same across this side. And it being hidden by the bumper is a bit of a bonus, but it still needs to be nice. So we'll get the join in here, bring it all the way around. What I'm hoping to do is be a little bit crafty and template one side out, and then just be able to flip it. It should, hopefully, hand-built car and all that, it should hopefully work out that we can just flip the template. So, same as on the sides, I'll get the brown masking paper, we'll get some magnetic clips, attach it on here, template it out, cut the outer off, repair the inner, put the outer back on. Simples. With the outer now cut away, we can see the tail end of the inner repair that we made for this section down here. So all I've got to do now is continue this cut line across the top and stitch that in. And if I zoom in a little bit here, we can see that this panel continues to here, and then the centre rear valance takes over, centre rear inner valance takes over. So I'll make up a little section just to go in here, just to extend that out to there. And then all of this up here is really good. So we'll get that cleaned up, we'll get some fur tan on there, get that protected. And then we're just going to make a strip to go all the way along here, and then link over the exhaust to there. And that will be the inner done and repaired for this side. And then we can just put the outer section on. Moving on with that now then. There we go, that wraps up the back valance. So we've got side pieces in, inner and outer, centre section in, inner and outer. It's all gone in there pretty well. I've still got a little bit of dressing up to do with it. This was sunk in a little bit here, so I just need to pull this back out again. We've got to put a small repair above in there. But it's all gone in really, really nicely, which means we can now sign off on the metalwork on this and hand it over to Bo and Luke. Bo's straight on now, getting all the paint off the bonnet and the front of the car as we speak. Moving on into epoxy primers. So we'll pick up on that stage next video on the Jensen. Moving forward towards some nice shiny paint. So thanks for watching. Please hit subscribe, share, comment, and we'll catch you next week.